Alright guys, another day and we are back for another episode of the Championship Transfer Rumour Roundup. So much has happened over these last 24 hours, we're going to have to drop another video today. Plenty more done deals to talk through and a bunch of transfer rumours to dive into as well. This is usually the part of the transfer window where stuff really starts to ramp up with deadline day now firmly in sight. As always, if you do going to enjoy, make sure to drop a like, follow along on the channel and subscribe if you are new around here. But without any further ado, let's jump into some of the done deals. We've seen Hull City completing a deal for Chris Badia, who's coming in from Union Berlin on a season-long loan, with Hull City having the option to purchase him at the end of the campaign if they should choose. I think this one's quite an interesting arrival for Hull. Definitely gives them a different dynamic going forward, with the Ivory Coast striker standing at 6'3". He only moved to Union Berlin back in January, but is already on the move once again. He's probably most predominantly known from his time in the Swiss Super League, where he scored 31 goals in 68 appearances. He'll certainly look to give Hull a little bit more firepower this season. Speaking of Hull City, we've also seen Seri departing. We did touch on this one last time, but it has since been confirmed, with the experienced midfielder signing for Al Araoba in Saudi Arabia. We've seen young Croatian forward Anthony Krenak signing for Norwich City in a deal worth up and around £9 million. The 20-year-old is coming over from Poland, certainly has bags of potential from reading up about him. Like I say, he's only 20 years old, can play anywhere across the forward line as well. He's signed with the Canaries on a deal until 2028 with the option of a further year. Luton Town have signed German midfielder Tom Kraus on a season-long loan. He's coming over from Mainz in the Bundesliga. Looks like an aggressive pressing midfielder that will definitely suit Luton and their style of play, give them a bit more energy in the middle of the park. Plymouth have completed the deal for Michael Obafemi, taking the Burnley striker on a season-long loan deal. He's had a tough few years, I think it's fair to say, Obafemi. That loan spell with Millwall didn't quite work out. The move to Burnley definitely hasn't worked out for him so far, but he has shown previously that he can score goals at this level, and maybe Wayne Rooney is the manager to bring that out of him again. Uros Rakic has joined West Bromwich Albion on a season-long loan deal from Sassuolo. The Serbian holding midfielder will look to add a bit more of a backbone to that West Brom midfield, standing at 6'4". I'm excited to see him in action in the Championship. Leeds United have completed that deal for Largi Ramadzani. We spoke about this one in a little bit more detail on last time's video, but the deal has since been confirmed in a package worth in and around £10 million. Leeds still looking for more players as well between now and the end of the window. We saw Burnley completing a deal for Nottingham Forest defender Joe Worrell, who's joined the Clarets on a 4-year contract for an undisclosed fee. Not had the easiest of times of late. Worrell, obviously, he recently had that loan spell with Besiktas that didn't quite go to plan, didn't really feature that much for them, but obviously played an integral role in Nottingham Forest promotion from the Championship to the Premier League. He'll be looking to do the same for Burnley this time around. Stoke have completed the signing of Ashley Phillips, who arrives from Tottenham on a season-long loan deal. Still quite a raw player at 19, but a useful option for Stoke nonetheless. And we've seen Wilson Isidore signing for Sunderland on a season-long loan deal, with the Black Cats having the option to purchase him at the end of the season. It's been a long time coming, but Sunderland have finally gone ahead and signed the striker. The 23-year-old arrives from Zenit St. Petersburg, and in the Russian Premier League, he does have a decent strike rate, to be fair. While playing for Lokomotiv Moscow, he scored 19 goals in 42 appearances for the club. We've seen Bristol City snapping up Oxford United midfielder Marcus McGuan on a permanent basis. Obviously, he is a player that Liam Manning has worked with previously. The 25-year-old hadn't really been involved in any of Oxford's squads for the opening few game weeks of the season, so seemed more than likely that a move would probably materialise at some point, and it has been Bristol City who have gone ahead and snapped him up. And the departure we've seen from Bristol City is Taylor Gardner-Hickman, who has joined Birmingham City on a season-long loan deal, with the Blues having the option to purchase him at the end of the season. Bristol City themselves only signed him on a permanent basis back in January, but he's already headed out the exit door. He'd been an unused substitute in Bristol City's opening 2 games of the season, so clearly the Robins think that they can live without him this season, but for Birmingham, I think that's a cracking deal. We've seen QPR completing a deal for Danish midfielder Nicholas Madsen. I'm excited to see more of him in the Championship as well. A good goal-scoring midfielder that QPR seem to have added to their ranks here. He scored 13 goals from midfield last season in the Belgian Pro League, and by all accounts looks like a nice pickup at 24 years old. We've seen Swansea City signing young defender Nelson Abbey on a season-long loan deal from Olympiacos. The defender defender came through the ranks at Reading, was picked up by Olympiacos in January and has now been loaned out to Swansea City for the season. I think that one's a nice pickup. He was obviously quite highly regarded at Reading. A step up for him here to the Championship I think will be a good one for his career. We have seen a deal go through for Watford attacking midfielder Yasser Asprilla, who has joined Girona in Spain. It's been rumoured all summer that he would be on the move, and finally a deal has gone through. Quite a few clubs were scouting him throughout the summer. At one point the move to the Saudi League looked close, another time a move to Ligue 1 looked close, but instead he will be heading to La Liga. The fee thought to be in and around 25 million that Watford will bank from this one. A shame to see him go, but I think he was always destined to go to one of Europe's top 5 leagues, wasn't he? But there are some of the done deals we've seen going through in the Championship over these last 24 hours. Now without any further ado, let's jump into the rumours. And there's really only one place to start out, and of course that's with Jack Clarke. We covered this story last time, but it's all advanced pretty quickly, and that Ipswich do have a deal in place with Sunderland to go ahead and sign Jack Clarke. Ipswich have done some serious business during this transfer window so far, and I think this could be one of their best signings yet. As reported yesterday, the deal is worth around 15 million, with a further 5 million to then follow in add-ons as well. The real kicker for Sunderland and this whole deal is the fact that Tottenham are due a pretty hefty percentage of this deal. Around about 25% of that deal will be going to Tottenham, so Sunderland themselves won't receive that much cash up front, especially when you consider the type of player they're losing, arguably the best player in the Championship right now. From an Ipswich point of view though, I do think they're getting a cracking deal with that one. I think that Clarke has proven himself that he's more than good enough for the Championship. Last time he got that move to Tottenham and in the Premier League, I don't think he was quite ready, but he's developed so much since that point, and at a club like Ipswich especially, I really think he could thrive there. In terms of Sunderland themselves, they are still busy and working on deals behind the scenes. They're currently in advanced talks for Rocco Simic. A Croatian under-21 international is currently on the books at RB Salzburg. He scored 6 goals for the Austrian side last season across 37 appearances in all competitions. 20 years old, so does fit the sort of model that Sunderland have gone for in recruiting young. Looks like Sunderland are hopeful of landing him in the coming days. It's looking more than likely that Daniel Jebbison is on his way to sign for Watford on a season-long loan deal. There have been a few murmurings that maybe Preston North End could be in to hijack this deal, with obviously Paul Heckingbottom, the new North End boss, and having previously worked with Jebbison, but that doesn't appear to be the case, and as of recording, looks as if a loan move to Watford is pretty nailed on at this point. Also seen that Watford have been in advanced talks with Royal Antwerp over a deal for Belgium under-21 midfielder Pierre Duomo. That deal looks to be a permanent one, worth just shy of £1 million. And Toulouse defender Kevin Keben, another option being looked at by Watford. Reported a couple of days ago that his medical was booked in, with that deal being worth around about 800 grand. The defender looks useful in a couple of positions, being comfortable at right back or centre half. I know Birmingham are in League One at the moment, but I had to cover this transfer story because I assumed there'd be quite a bit of Championship interest in Rangers defender Ben Davies. Instead, he will be heading to St Andrews. It's been reported that a deal is in place for the Rangers defender to join Birmingham on a season-long loan deal, and I mean, for League One especially, that is an absolutely cracking signing in my opinion. I know the move to Rangers hasn't quite worked out. Rangers spent quite a bit of money on him, and no doubt he'll be on decent wages there as well. But speaking from my own experiences as a Preston North End fan, and I know we're going back quite a few years now, but when Davies was at North End, I mean, for me, he was one of the best ball-playing defenders in the Championship. He could pick a pass like no one else. When partnered alongside the right player, can be really effective, and especially at League One level, I can't get over what a signing that could be for Birmingham. I really thought there'd be a few Championship clubs that would be in the market for Davies if he was made available for a loan deal, which he seems to have been. Norwich City are reportedly considering a move for Real Madrid's Rainier Jesus. The playmaker has spent the last few seasons out on loan. He's had loan spells with Dortmund, Girona. He spent last season out on loan in Italy, and this season could be another loan deal as well. It's thought that any potential loan deal for Norwich could include an option to purchase at the end of the season as well. He's now 22 years old. Real Madrid originally picked him up when he was a youngster, but doesn't seem to have a long-term future in Spain with Real Madrid. It'd be an interesting option for Norwich though, for sure. It looks as if Sheffield Wednesday are on the brink of signing Southampton midfielder Shea Charles on a season-long loan deal, obviously. There was quite a lot of hype around the Manchester City Academy graduate last season after how much money Southampton spent on him. Still looks like quite a raw player who's very much learning his trade. He was sort of in and out of that Southampton squad under Russell Martin last season, wasn't he? Made 15 starts in the Championship and 18 appearances off the bench for a side that ultimately were promoted to the Premier League. I think a loan deal back to the Championship for this stage of his career probably does make sense. Sheffield Wednesday in need of more options in midfield as well, so I can see why they're going after that sort of profile. Former Leeds United captain Liam Cooper has supposedly been training with Derby County. Reportedly, he has a few options on the table right now. It seems more than likely that he will be staying in the Championship, and a move to Derby I could see. Cardiff are adding another defensive option to their ranks with Manchester United youngster Will Fish on his way to sign for them. It's thought that the deal is worth around about 1 million, that could rise to around 4 million with add-ons included as well. And no doubt Manchester United will include a pretty juicy sell-on clause, which they usually do when letting their youngsters go. You've got Sheffield United, who are in talks to sign Celtic winger Mikey Johnson, who really impressed during that loan spell he had with West Brom in the Championship last season. I think he'd be a cracking signing for the Blades, who have already done some really good business so far this season. Also seen Burnley as another club interested, but Sheffield United are really pushing for that one right now, it would seem. Especially with Austin Trusty being eyed up by Celtic, this could be a bit of wiggle room in the negotiations there. It looks like West Brom are closing in on a permanent deal for Barnsley's Callum Styles. He's had an interesting few years, Styles, hasn't he? He had that really outstanding year at Barnsley, where we're going back quite a few years now in the Championship. Since that point, a few injuries, a loan at Millwall and a loan at Sunderland as well. He's 24 years old. I still think there is a really good Championship player in there, in the right system when utilised correctly. And I just think under a manager like Corberan, he's the sort of player that can get the maximum out of a player like Styles. But there you guys have it. That will wrap it up for today's video. So much going on in the Championship right now. So many rumours coming out of each club. Apologies if I did miss any of them off in today's video. A lot going on right now in the transfer window, as you can understand, and a lot of these stories are ever changing as well. But as always, if you did go on to enjoy, please do drop a like, and I'll see you all in the next one.